Hey everyone out there in the land of YouTube, Annette Dion here. I'm the host and founder of the Psychic News Network. I was just thinking about a story I heard one time about this woman who was a photographer, and she loved to just travel and do photography. And the story goes that this woman actually talked an airline into having her get free tickets all over the world. She convinced them, I don't know who this person was, it's just a story that I heard, but she convinced an airline to pay for her to go all around the world taking photography, and they ended up using it in their travel brochures. And it's just a pretty cool story. I heard it on a YouTube podcast or something, and it stuck with me because I'm just noticing that I keep going to these beautiful locations, many in my hometown. But right now I'm about an hour and a half north of where I live, and this is Ferry Beach, and the Maine coast, the southern Maine coast, is really gorgeous. Really just like miles and miles of coastline. I'll show you a little bit. There's a guy walking a dog, but miles and miles of beach just goes on and on and on. And I just posted a short of these lovely signs that are at a retreat center walkway. It's a very spiritual place. So anyway, I'm kind of like sort of reflecting on the news today in a big way. Remembering that I had said that September was going to be a very intense month, and that it certainly is proving to be the case. So, excuse me while I just get a little more comfortable here. Takes a minute. There, you can see my reflection, my shadow. It's about 5:10 p.m. It's September 21st. We are at the starting of the fall equinox energy. The fall equinox is on Saturday the 23rd, and that's when I'm starting my class. So if you want to take the course seriously, Are You Psychic?, where we practice our psychic skills, don't miss it. It's going to be good. Get ready for psychic season. I do have some cards. So today, what's happening is it's kind of like that feeling that you get when you realize what danger that you averted, like the car accident that you happened to just be delayed and not be there when it happened. And as I say a prayer please for the students and their families. There was a bus crash in New York. We don't know why things happen the way they do. We drive ourselves crazy if we needed to figure it all out. But that what if, like, oh my God, what if the insurrection had worked? Oh my God, what if Donald Trump got back in the White House? Oh my God, what if, and just to make it even more horrible, what if he got in again? Don't worry about that, that's not going to happen. So today we're seeing, we might as well just call it what it is. We're seeing evidence that we do have Putin allies in our government. And I'm starting to see more and more that the news is making it more clear. I feel like what me and perhaps other psychics have been saying, I tend to rant a lot, maybe more than other psychics. I'm not sure about that. But it seems as though the news is, at least MSNBC, because I don't watch the other networks at all, they're starting to make us aware of the truth that we're not safe. And it's tough, it's hard. But then we see like Zelensky going to Washington today, and think about that just pounding down on you all the time, literally war pounding down on you, and you haven't done a thing to bring that on as a country. A couple of things that I've heard that just haunt me, and I mentioned last night, Zelensky in his speech to the UN, talking about the tens of thousands of children, Ukrainian children that have been kidnapped by Russian soldiers, stolen from their families. And then I heard Anthony Blinken, you may have heard these accounts too. Anthony Blinken was talking about, and these are just, couple of things that are happening with Putin's war and attack on Ukraine. Anthony Blinken mentioned one scenario where a big group of people, I don't know how many, was rounded up by the Russian troops and put in a tiny little basement room and stayed there without any provisions at all. And these were elderly and children and women and men and all ages, and they just kept them there, and they perished. I don't know if they all did, but some did, and they just left them there with nothing. So I'm telling you all these gory details just to kind of describe, but for the grace of God, and if we don't show that we have some, as a nation, if we don't show that we are not monsters as American people who have had so much given to us, if we don't show that, shame on every one of us. And I don't mean to say that to anybody personally, but I think you get the sentiment there. Somebody on the video last night in the live chat mentioned something about, Americans will be rioting in the street if they, will they be rioting in the street? Because she was feeling threatened by that, or that people would riot in the street because of inflation. And I don't know, I kind of came unglued. You might have witnessed that. Because in the face of everything that we're facing, in the face of what Ukraine is facing, to think about Americans would be rioting in the streets, they won't be. But because the price of gas is high, that's the height of insanity. This video might be a little bit longer than my other uploaded videos outside. The tide is going out. A little bit earlier I was in a different spot, but honestly, the tide was higher then, and the waves were crashing so loudly I didn't think you'd be able to hear me. So now that the tide's going out, it won't be quite as loud. I'm going to pick a card. I meant to pick a card from this deck last night, and I just got absorbed in what was going on with the chat and the news. So I'm going to pick one of these cards just to get the general energy of America right now. If you have had an opportunity to follow the news today, I've had, a light schedule. It's not to my liking, but I just go with it. I've had a very light schedule, so I've pretty much caught all the news. We're finding out so much more about how dangerous Donald Trump is and was when he was in the White House. And it just, we have PTSD from that. I mean, I know I have kind of a PTSD from when Trump was in the White House, because I could just foresee the potential for him just ruining, people dying, which happened during COVID, and just absolutely, I could just see the potential for our downfall, and it wasn't pretty, and I'm grateful that that's not where we ended up. So by the way, there's an article in The Atlantic, which I need to subscribe to, about General Milley and what he was up against with Trump in the White House, just breaking all the rules and being a heinous monster. There's no other way to describe it. He's a monstrous human being. Donald Trump is a monstrous human being. And that these Putin Republicans saying, no, we're not going to help Ukraine. It makes you shudder. I mean, it really, it's like, people that have not just a small amount of compassion, but zero a very frightening thing. It makes us all feel extremely unsafe. The card that I'm pulling for the general card is the sun, which totally makes sense because the sun's right in my face. You will find that people are drawn to the happy vibes and positive energy you are giving out. That goes for all of us. You will bring light and joy to everyone and everything you come into contact with. This is really telling us to continue to hold the light. Continue to be strong and hold the light. We have the sun card for the collective. So, in the midst of all of it, you have to keep your energy high. You have to keep your energy uplifted. I always think it's interesting that President Zelensky in his earlier life was a comedian. I can't help but wonder if that's helping him get through this. You know, during the down times. Alrighty, tonight is Grassroots of Democracy. We have meetings 3 times a week. Please join. I'm a little freaked out about how small our group is. Not because it's an ego thing, because I don't want that to actually be reflecting the actual truth, that people are too busy and they just think someone else is going to handle our democracy and we'll be fine. That's not the case. We won't be fine if everybody doesn't get involved. I really just want to keep saying that, because like, if you keep saying something, it sinks in. According to the fascists anyway. I'm just teasing. I shouldn't joke about that. Is Ukraine going to get all the aid that they need from the United States? Is Ukraine going to get all the aid that they need from the United States? That looks like yes. Okay, so that's... Oh, good. We start with some good news. Ukraine is going to get what they need from the United States. That's really good. Okay. So far, no interruptions. There's a man with a dog coming from that way. Hopefully the dog doesn't want to be friendly while I'm doing a reading. Can you see the seagulls? It's kind of hard to see. The seagulls are smaller here for some reason. I'm not really sure what that is. I feel like where I live, we have giant seagulls. Let's use our nature deck. Yeah, really, I mean, let me just speak to how it affects us when we have fellow Americans that are seated in our Congress who are monsters, who are siding with Russia. It's not an easy thing. It definitely is not an easy thing. Which, you know, the sun card kind of, it makes sense, because we have to remember how important it is in the face of people on the public stage, like the Matt Gaetz, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, and the Lauren Boeberts, the total idiots, the total low IQ, low level, you know, disgusting, slimy, slumbag energy. In the face of that, we know that when people are kind and loving, it gives us hope. So that's really, really important to kind of keep your eye on. That's a very beautiful dog. Your dog is beautiful. Pretty dog. Okay, so, all right. So what I'm going to pull 3 cards about is the fate of the Putin Republicans. What's crazy about this is I'm saying the Putin Republicans, but it's accurate. You know what I mean? It's like, gosh, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have ever believed that I'd be saying that. And it's an actual thing. Pulling 3 cards about them. I find that when I go away on retreats, there's always something major going on in the news. It's almost as if I'm supposed to keep an eye on it. I don't know. The fate of I'm reading on the fate of the Putin Republicans. What is going to be their fate? The Tower card comes up. There's the Tower card. The fate of the Putin Republicans is the Tower card. The Eight of Swords this is the card that in the Rider-Waite is the hemmed-in card. In the Rider-Waite, the most common deck, it's the woman who's bound, who can't go anywhere because she's blindfolded and bound and trapped. And the Seven of Pentacles, all that they've done, all that these Putin Republicans have done, all for naught. This is in the end they lose. They're being exposed beyond what they ever anticipated. These are people, and I've said this about Donald Trump. Sun's going down. These are people that there's something wrong with their brains in the sense that they don't have the foresight to see consequences for their actions. It's like to them, consequences for their actions don't exist in their minds. And that's why I'm getting the Tower card and the Eight of Swords, because they're not going to really come to it on their own. They'll be trapped, they'll be reined in. And the Seven of Pentacles indicated all that they've done. There's no returns for them. There's no returns. There's no rewards. It's just, it was an exercise, a heinous fascist exercise that turns out to be completely futile. An exercise in futility. They've had their moment in the limelight. Let's ask. I'm going to ask now. I'm going to ask the pendulum. Oh, pendulum, oh, pendulum. This happens every time. Hang on while I find it. Here's another one. Is Jack Smith going to send target letters to the insurrectionists that are in our government? Is he going to send target letters? Yes. The answer is yes. The guys are just telling me right now that hearing with Merrick Garland made the DOJ stronger. You know how? You know what's coming to me? How that hearing, that really, that wasn't, you couldn't even call it a hearing. That abuse of the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, that abuse yesterday highlighted the people in our government that are insurrectionist criminals, not only that were badgering Merrick Garland, but also the ones that they have the receipts about, that the DOJ has the receipts about, like the Matt Gaetz about Cameron away, and the other one that took Liz Cheney's place. Somebody sent me that video clip. Her name's not popping into my mind, probably intentionally right now, but the one that booted Liz Cheney out. Horrible people. But they have been highlighted because of this clown hearing. It's like their visibility and how horrible they are has been amped up to the nth degree, so that when the DOJ comes for these horrible people in our government that have no business being in our government, because of that display of idiocy and abuse yesterday at those sham hearings, nobody's really going to be able to point to the insurrectionists in our government and say, oh, those poor people, maybe they weren't that bad, maybe they didn't do that. Just watch the sham hearing. They are horrible. No respect at all. I mean, dignity, class, respect, manners. See the seagull behind me? He looks like a little dot. I guess it's important that we know that there are people that are that horrible. We know what to look out for. I'm going to pull 3 cards about the meeting between Zelensky and Biden, how that's going. It's going on as we speak, or it's wrapping up as I speak. And So September 21st, and Zelensky just met Biden at the White House a short time ago to have a meeting, and he's going to pull 3 cards about how that's going. They might have gone to dinner by now. And that's class. Joe Biden is class. Jill Biden is class. Zelensky and his wife, that's class. That's honor. That's dignity. In case you forgot what it looks like. I have the temperance card. What Zelensky and Biden are talking about is how to get around these Putin obstructionists in our American government. I know, it's awful. It's just awful. The 9 of Pentacles. I think that Biden said something to Zelensky to give him hope of this nature. I think that Biden said to Zelensky, we're doing what we can to take the power away from them. That's what I pick up. That Biden said something like to Zelensky, we're doing what we can to take away their power. Because what these Putin Republicans are doing is they're engaged in a process of taking down America, because that's what Vladimir Putin wants. And I know that Zelensky is onto it. He's been onto it since Trump. He's been onto it for a very long time. The Ace of Cups means they've raised a cup in agreement and in victory in terms of the United States is going to help Ukraine. This is life or death, people. This is like avoiding World War III, people. The next war would be the last war. That's how grave it is. I'm out here in this gorgeous environment, fully aware of what danger we face. And in total faith that we're going to be okay. In total faith that this just overwhelming evil will be stopped. Rupert Murdoch stepped down today, but he says he's going to continue to work. And he's 91. And they, I know he's not a politician, but he might as well be. So Rupert Murdoch, he's stepping down, letting his son take over Fox. And Fox is going down. I mean, I don't feel like the hosts at Fox, the anchors, are feeling secure in their jobs. It's been going down for a long time. I might need my sunglasses again. Those waves are getting louder. So I think that Fox is going to run out of money. Anyway, Rupert Murdoch is 91. I don't know when he turns 92. But nobody's ever mentioned his age. Like, he's too old to have anything to do with that, with his business anymore. And, let someone younger take over. And he plans to keep on being an influence on Fox. But I'm going to pull 3 cards about Fox, because I really do think they're going down. The Smartmatic, the Dominion case, that settlement really broke the bank for them. I mean, the money isn't endless. The money runs out. There's very few people for whom the money just keeps flowing in. The billionaire types. Very few. Hang on, this driftwood is getting a little uncomfortable. I forgot I had a towel. Rupert Murdoch. I'm going to pull 3 cards about Fox. I apologize for all the camera adjustment angles, but everything's changing. My whole environment's taking on different light. Rupert Murdoch, what's going to happen to Fox? There's our 9 of Pentacles again. Yeah, the moon indicates a lot of emotions around what's going to happen to Fox. A lot of the Fox followers, I feel them really disgruntled coming up in the near future. This year, the rest of this year, Fox watchers are going to be a little bit, when they for instance, YouTube changes things on me all the time. It's like, stop it, just was getting used to things being a certain way. That kind of thing. Fox will have to change. They'll be forced to change. Think about that woman, Jessica, that's, with the 5, always countering them with factual information when they're going on and on with their dangerous, horribly dangerous lies. So, yeah, Fox is going through a very emotional time right now. I actually think Rupert Murdoch doesn't want to step down. I'm picking up some health issues, which doesn't take a psychic. If he's 91, he's probably a bit challenged. And I do feel like Rupert Murdoch takes youthing meds, which are now available. There's all kinds of advancements in medicine and nutrition that can make people youth. It's coming, get ready. Start your second career. So there's a lot of emotional energy at Fox. The 9 of Pentacles, they have a lot of lawsuits. They have too many lawsuits. They're not going to be able to keep up. I brought this up before when I did a video on the rocks, where I'm trying to remember how I saw it about Fox. Like when you keep on hoping that the money won't keep draining because it's not being replenished at the rate necessary to keep things going, that's Fox. That's what I see happening to Fox. And the 4 of Wands, they're going to rein things in. They're going to start to be more resourceful at Fox just to keep up the appearance, keep up appearances. But I actually feel like there's going to be salaries being slashed, and I see that guy Jesse Waters at Fox being livid because he's got an out of control ego. Seriously out of control ego. Seriously out of control. Jesse Waters trying to be Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is connected to Putin. I just want you all to know that. Just popped into my head, but I've mentioned it before. Remember when I did a reading about Tucker Carlson and I said Putin was mad at him? And I couldn't figure out why. And then I saw a video of Tucker saying he hates Russia. It doesn't take much. In fascist dictatorships, if you just look at someone, if you look at a dictator the wrong way, and maybe it's a loving look and they think it's a not loving look, you're off with your head or whatever. Go stand near that window in the high tower. The writer's strike, I told you September. What I said about the writer's strike, just on that topic, because we finally got news today that they were coming to some agreements. A few months ago when I read on the writer's strike, I got that there would have to be concessions that the writers did not want to make that had to do with AI, but not as extreme as we would worry about. Greed is just, I'm telling you, people that have that level of greed, like corporate, that like no billion amount is enough. They have a hole in their soul, and that's not a happy life. I don't care how rich they are. They might own this entire beach and all the beach houses. It doesn't matter. If you need all that to be happy, there's a problem. I'm going to pull 3 cards on the writer's strike, and I hope they go back, because I have a family member who's a makeup artist for the movies. She's in the union and hasn't worked for a long time, and it's really hard. It's really hard. Gee, this 9 of Pentacles just wants to keep coming up today. Corporate still stays corporate in Hollywood. Corporate still stays corporate, but it's not as strong. They've kind of isolated themselves. So what I get about the agreements with the writer's strike, the union, and corporate, I feel like I'm being watched by seagulls. It's a seagull audience. What I get is that corporate doesn't like that they have to make concessions, so they make as little as possible, as few concessions as possible. The writers need to go back to work. It's kind of like a little bit of a desperate situation. So The writers don't get as much as they deserve, but at least they get to go back to work. And months ago when I read on the writer's strike in Hollywood, I got that there was a flip side of this. There's always a flip side that's good. Almost always there's a flip side that if you look at it long enough, you can see it. The writer's strike means that a lot of these actors and screenwriters and, you know, late night comedy writers, was the impetus to get them to go out independently and start some independent filmmaking companies. It's almost like, yeah, the writers have to make concessions that they don't want to make, but they do. If they don't make them, it's not as bad as it was. But if they don't make the concessions, they don't work, because AI is taking over. By the way, I'm never going to be ruled by AI, and I really mean that. And I want us all to take a stand. My whole life is never going to be ruled by AI. I know we feel like we're ruled by our phones and by technology, but if you're not addicted to watching, you know, or playing games on your technology all the time, it's okay, because it's a tool, and we can get a lot more information to the masses to make this world a better place with technology. But AI gone too far? No. I want to keep my creativity. I want to keep my individuality. I want to keep my autonomy to the best of my ability. It's going to become more of an effort, but we can, if we choose, to not have robots take over our entire existence. I'll never buy a self-driving car. Okay, so let me just pull 3 more cards and then I'll let you go. And I want to encourage everybody to go to grassrootsofdemocracy.com and sign up. It's too late to get the Zoom invite for tonight. I don't even know if this video will post by then. It should. Go to grassrootsofdemocracy.com. If you really, really want to come tonight, I can forward you the Zoom invite. Send me an email, and that's beyond7@gmail.com. I'll pull 3 more cards, and we're going to meet up again tomorrow from Maine for a Psychic News Network. I'm just going to pull 3 cards for the collective. I know there's a gazillion questions I could be asking right now, but I just kind of wanted to talk to you guys and tell you what was on my mind. Boy, what a huge wave that was. Cards for the collective. This is a time of discerning who the enemies are. This is a time that everything is being uncovered. See the snakes? Snakes have so many different meanings. In this case, the snake, it's like a snake that you find under a rock or in the bushes, and you're just like, whoa, didn't know that was there. This is a time of the great reveal. The insidious fascist energy has come up to the surface. You know how earthworms are under the ground? If you found the ground, the earthworms come up. Things are being unearthed right now. The 4 of Swords. The leaders in our government that are I mean, the good guys, the good girls, you know, the good people in our government are really worn out. It's hard, including our military. But here we have the sun again. Do not get discouraged. Join up with other people. Join us at grassrootsdemocracy.com. If you don't come to the meetings, you'll get the notes. The sun, that's the second time the sun came up. And look at that little seagull behind me that's just so happy and carefree, and he's coming closer to say hello. What he's really doing is he's sniffing to see if there's any food. And there is not. I love you guys, and I hope you're loving on yourselves today and knowing how great you are. Give yourself lots of I love you affirmations. Speaking of affirmations, if you become a member, you get a great affirmation Monday through Friday in your inbox and your email. Book a reading, PsychicNews.com, and don't forget, seriously, are you psychic? Develop your psychic skills. Start. It's a 6-session course. It starts this coming Saturday. PsychicNews.com is where you sign up for that, and also where you sign up for tarot in 2 hours at the castle, October 11th. All right, with that, I'm going to go. I'm going to head back. probably will take my time doing that. It's so beautiful here, and the universe is a beautiful place. The earth is beautiful. Namaste.